With each new model release, we're seeing constant improvements in LLM capabilities. Better reasoning, better synthesis, that's according to the benchmarks anyway. However, a lot of the old problems when building knowledge agents that rely on retrieving information to ground their responses, those problems are just not going away. Hallucinations are still an issue where the model generates outputs that aren't actually backed up by what was retrieved from the data source. And these hallucinations can be obvious to spot in a manual review, whereas the sneakier one is overextension. This is where the retrieved source, it supports, let's say, a narrow claim, whereas the model states it in a much broader, more confident version. There's conflation, where two retrieved chunks get fused into a single claim that neither one of them actually supports. This happens a lot in RAG systems, where you essentially have a bag of chunks being returned and mixed together by the model. And then there's citation mismatch. This is where the cited source is real and it was retrieved, but it doesn't actually back up the paragraph that it's attached to. And for knowledge agents that carry out research and analysis, document creation, report generation, these are major problems because every output depends on staying faithful to the retrieved sources at every step in the loop. And as models get bigger, the errors don't necessarily disappear, they just get more subtle and more confidently stated, which actually makes them harder to catch. Even Anthropic's own advice tells users to review Claude's cited sources and to scrutinize any high-stakes advice given by Claude. So if you're building an AI product, you can't just leave this verification up to chance, you need to actually design for it. In this video, I'm going to show you 7 ways to design verification into your agentic system to assist users in verifying the generated outputs and ultimately improve trust levels in the platform. And first up is this NotebookLM style approach. Here, the agent that's producing the output is also producing these citation markers. And the system provides a nice clean UI that makes it very easy for a user to cross-check and verify by surfacing the evidence right next to the actual claim. And this is actually different to the NotebookLM version. Within NotebookLM, you don't see the original PDF file in this case that was uploaded. You only see the parsed text, the extracted text from it. So when you click on a citation, it brings you to that text within the source document. But you can't see the original PDF or Word document. And that can be a problem because parsing is never perfect. There's a great example here that one of the members of our community came across, which was the problem of numbered footnotes in a document. In this example here, within a PDF, the paragraph has this text, so the annual management fee was reduced to 0.5%, and it has a footnote number 5, and then the next sentence is 10 basis points were rebated to long-term investors. When that's parsed and the text extracted, that numeric footnote actually turned into a full number in the sentence, and suddenly it's 510 basis points were rebated to long-term investors. So that type of error in parsing would show up as verbatim text in NotebookLM's example because you're only seeing the extracted text. For this to be as real as possible, you need to see the actual document to compare it. And that's where these bounding boxes kicks in because you need to see the exact snippet that was used to ground that particular paragraph. And the broadness or the tightness of these bounding boxes depends on the system that you use to actually ingest the document. Here, for example, we're using Docklane. And Docklane outputs bounding boxes for the different elements of text that's extracted. And you can see examples of it here. Sometimes they're quite narrow, as you see, whereas other times you can get quite broad blocks. But there are other systems that you can use. Data Labs has its marker feature, which also provides bounding boxes similar to Docklane. So here, for example, there are quite a lot of list items grouped within this list group. You can see examples of it here and here as well. If you need tighter bounding boxes than this, the likes of Microsoft Azure's Document Intelligence Service and Google Cloud's various document AI services can get a tighter fix on text on a page. But whatever the mechanism is, having the source document side by side with the generated output means it's very easy for a human to actually review and verify that it is fully grounded. And the best way I found to implement this is that when the agent triggers, let's say, a hybrid search of your knowledge base, so here it's passed in the query legal brief, and then the resulting chunks that come back, they have these citation markers embedded. You can see there's S1 and S2, There's S3 and S4. So within the back end of the system then, you keep a mapping of all of these evidence markers to the bounding boxes that came back from the service. From the generating LLM's perspective then, it simply just needs to drop in the marker at the appropriate point in the generated output. So you're not asking it to calculate coordinates on a page or anything like that. There was a piece of research carried out last month that shows that if you try to get the model to generate the bounding box, it often results in what they described as attribution hallucination. So you need to make it as easy as possible for the LLM to cite the right section. And I found the easiest way to do that is these citation markers. If you're new to this channel, this is a full stack AI agent platform that we're building on Python, React, and Supabase. And we're building this out feature by feature across multiple episodes. The PRDs for this citations and source grounding feature are available in the GitHub repo that's linked below. While the full platform is available as a starter app in our community, that's also linked below. So you've just seen the NotebookLM approach, which is inline citations, evidence sitting beside the claim, ready for a human review. The second approach is semantic verification. So this is a faithful grounding checker. And here, the generating LLM still creates the citation markers, but there's a separate action that sends each of those citations along with its supporting evidence to another LLM to verify it's correctly grounded. So this protects against attribution hallucination that I mentioned earlier, and it produces traffic lights that focuses a human's review on the claims that are made. Now it is blue instead of green, but you can see the amber colored citation here, and it states that the cited source only supports the claim regarding jury confusion and doesn't have any information about a particular officer. So you can see that there was a reference to the officer there, but this citation, and you can see the text, doesn't actually mention that officer. So it's likely not a full hallucination, it's more that the Officer Galloway section was referenced in a different section of the document. So to see this in action then, let me just go to another thread. And here all the citations are in gray, so they haven't actually been validated yet. So then if we jump down to the bottom, click check citations, and then that is going to trigger a number of LLM calls, one for each grouping of citations. And then you can see that they've all finished and they've come in as blue. So yeah, no issues here. If we jump into LangFuse, we should be able to see those different traces. And there's the check citations call. And there were 7 calls to an LLM. And you can see the prompts that's sent in. So you are a citation faithfulness checker for a RAG system, and you receive the generated claim written by the assistant. You receive the cited location, and then you need to determine whether this is verified and grounded, whether it's contradicted, and you need to provide a confidence score. And it is possible to get cheaper, faster models to actually do this. Here I'm using Gemini 3 Flash Preview, and the cost of this was a fraction of a cent per call. Now it does add latency, so here we don't do it on every single generation. It's a user action to check or recheck the citations. You also don't need to use an LLM. You could use more deterministic fuzzy matching to see is there enough crossover in the verbatim text in the document versus the generated text. But that doesn't tend to hold up too well if the AI is changing the shape of the text in its generated output. And in this version on screen, as you can see, these are just indicators to a human reviewer to really focus their attention. However, this type of checker could also power a validation loop. So you could have a surgical edit of the generated output if that check returned amber or red, and that surgical edit could swap out the problematic text. Now, that edit would also need to be validated as well, but it's a much smaller surface area to look at. And one important note here is that this system is just checking the faithfulness to the source. It's not checking the truth of the source. So if the retrieved document is old or wrong, you're going to get a faithfully verified wrong answer, which is essentially garbage in, verified garbage out. You still need proper curation of your knowledge base and accurate retrieval pipelines. Up until now, the agent that has been generating the output has also been slotting in the citations in line. Whereas in the next architecture, there's a dedicated citation agent whose only job is to analyze the documents and the generated output to drop in sources for each claim mentioned in the report. And this is exactly how Claude's deep research system works. Within their architecture, it's a multi-agent system. So they have a lead agent, which is the orchestrator. It delegates tasks to its research sub-agents, And they have isolated context windows and various tools available to them. And once the final report is generated, it's passed to the citation subagent. So after this iterative research process, if no more research is needed, the system exits the research loop and passes all findings to a citation agent, which processes the documents and research reports to identify specific locations for citations. This ensures all claims are properly attributed to their sources, and then the final research results, complete with the citations, are returned to the user. And this works well because deep research tasks can take 10, 20, 30 minutes. So you can build the functionality of a citation agent into quite a structured harness. Within Claude's deep research reports, you can see that there are plenty of citations across all of the various claims that are made. However, these citations are nowhere near as accurate as the bounding boxes of the PDF that I showed earlier. For example, it shows a URL, but when you click it, here we have a 27-page report. So where in this report was this particular fact mentioned? Of course, you could carry out a find and a search, but if you needed to do that across an entire document, that's a huge amount of work. That being said, there is no reason why you couldn't implement this type of interface for web search results, not only PDFs. Here, for example, is a thread that relies on a web search, and the citation actually picks it up from the snapshot of the page that was crawled, essentially. So you can see that that's a lot easier to verify as opposed to just being landed on a web page and you need to figure out where exactly that information is. Outside of having a dedicated citation agent, there are two other approaches that you could take. The first is an evidence-first architecture. So here you would have a research LLM, and their job is to analyze the request from the user and then carry out research using tool calls. But instead of generating responses, their job is to collate the actual paths and IDs of pieces of evidence. Those curated pieces of evidence are then sent to a generator agent, and its only role is to generate a response from the compiled evidence. The benefit of this approach is that this generator agent doesn't have all of the noise that's associated with retrieval. It only has what it needs in context to produce the output. A variation on that is a claim-first architecture. So your research LLM or your research team can decompose the request, dive deep into the knowledge base, into the systems, dive deep online, and off the back of that, it makes atomic claims that are linked to the pieces of evidence. All of those atomic claims are then gathered together. They can be checked, and from there they're passed to the generator agent to create the final output. The problem with this approach is you are relying more and more on LLMs to generate output, so there's more moving parts and more areas where this can go wrong. Everything up to this point has been about faithfulness. Faithfulness to the sources that were retrieved at runtime. None of them, however, check whether that source is actually true. For truth, you generally have to carry out an external action, let's say. You need to fact check. You need to verify against authoritative sources. And the pattern here is somewhat consistent. Within the generated output, you need to find every claim of a particular kind in a document, let's say, and then you need to check each one against whatever counts as ground truth for that kind of claim. And there's generally a couple of ways that you can approach this. You can use a fixed style harness based off a particular claim type, or you could use a dynamic harness that's generated at runtime and is designed for the particular type of checking that you want. Within the AI Architects course in our community, we have a capstone project which is to create a fixed style verification harness. And the purpose of this app is to verify claims, specific claims mentioned in documents. So here, for example, we have a citation audit selected for legal briefs. And when you drop one in, there is a fixed 5-stage process where the document is parsed. These claims are extracted. In this scenario, within this document, we're extracting references to case law, to statutes or legislation. And then the process of verification is to carry out research against authoritative sources to determine, are these cases real? Do they exist? And do they actually back up what's been stated within this legal brief? So this type of checking goes far beyond faithfulness checking. This is validating against authoritative external sources. And that type of pattern applies where an AI is going to be generating high stakes advice, as Claude described it. Things like academic papers, regulatory filings, contract reviews, financial disclosures. And the beauty of harnesses like this is that from a governance perspective, they're great because it's fully transparent. You end up with a report that you can then action, and it gives you a level of due diligence that you don't just get with the single shot generation from an AI model. Those types of fixed verification harnesses, they don't work for every use case though. If there is ad hoc verification that you need, then the likes of dynamic harnesses like Anthropic's dynamic workflows could be hugely beneficial because they can be planned at runtime, they can fan out to lots of different parallel agents to verify specific claims or facts in the document. They can set up adversarial agents to try to refute findings. And it's not a case that you would need to use Anthropic's dynamic workflows. You could build that same type of feature set into your own product. So as you can see, there's no single right approach to verifying outputs from an AI agent and to make sure it's grounded in the data that was actually retrieved. There are lots of ways that you can approach it, and depending on how specialized the platform is that you're creating, one approach might make a lot more sense than the others. I hope you found this video helpful. As I mentioned, the PRDs for the citation and source grounding feature that you saw built into our AI agent platform, those requirements are all available in the GitHub repo linked below. And if you'd like to watch our full build series where we created that platform, then check out this video here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.